is dominant at any time.
There's a long history of colonization projects and starting over. The best evidence of that is called Gosford glyphs in Australia. So the first landings were actually in Australia, not in Africa. It's written in the stone on the Gosford glyphs, and it talks about how a ship came down. There was a Denisovian man, the original man that was here. They added their genetics to him, and they created the hybrids.
When they did this, they manipulated to create basically the Aboriginal, the original people. And it was so they could incarnate into that body and have the Earth human experience. When I talked to the king of the Raven tribe, Ulukai Brendan Murray, a lot of his information tied in with James and myself through contacts.
The tribe used to meet the star people there. And then what happened was it was all positive and consensual. But then something happened with a time where other beings were turning up and started to actually remove people from that site and take them on their crafts. And in a time when the human DNA had that multi-strain, like 6 double helixes instead of the 2 that we've been hindered to, where the people would transform and escape the kidnappings from these crafts. And the older people informed me that they were taking people off to other continents and creating new humans out of our DNA here. And it was a group from the Orions who were meant to be coming and doing the kidnapping, a negative ET group. Right across this continent, the DNA become attached to the land and the land attached to the actual DNA. We are no different to the planet itself. We're just a fractal. I know that there was 7 major forms of our DNA created in the first place. And I know that some people talk about when there was 7 major forms of DNA was first created, that they created another, like a future form of another 5, like semitones, for the development of the interbreeding, so that when these different physical aspects come together to create new life, then the soul structure was different as well from the previous generations. So that soul structure was already implemented in the ethos. So it's like music, there's 7 major tones, 5 semitones, which makes 12. The creators understood that there was a time when these 7 major forms of humans were going to start to mingle. And so they allotted these 5 extra tones or semitones for them people to be interbred with and to become interracial.
Now, a lot of elders, whether it's in America or Australia or other cultures, they talk about that they were seeded by the Pleiadians. We also have a lot of rock paintings and cave art depicting what we call the Wandjina, the sky beings.
My name is Clifford Mahudi. I'm a Zuni Pueblo Indian, and I have been working to get a lot of information among the indigenous groups, especially the North American Indians and our neighbors to the south, our brothers and sisters, the Mesoamerican Indian people. And I'm doing this because it is about time that we start gathering the information to convey and pass on to future generations. The origins of those protocols were provided by what, again, we call the star people, or are the spiritual people from different realms, primarily from what we call the sky people, and also the deities that they brought in from other parts of the cosmos. They were put in place so that they have one way of worship. If you look at it in terms of the origin of what we are going, we started out is that technology and spirituality were in connected, real tight in the beginning, and throughout the ages they've separated technology away from the spirituality, and then it becomes a hard science. And somewhere in that in that path, man invented religion. Religion was primarily for three basic reasons. First of all, was fear. And of course, the other one was control. And the third one was greed. And so it worked against spirituality. The indigenous community had technology that was performed through the conscious methodology. For example, there was remote viewing.
I'm John Vivanco, and I've been in remote viewing for over 20 years. I was working in a civilian think tank. We were civilian operation, yet we were utilized by some of those in government. And usually the stuff in government was bizarre things. It was never normal type stuff. There's one case that we've really dug into, and that's the case of J.C. Brown. He claims that he came across a cave that went, 11, 14 miles underground. And he came across what he called the village, eventually he called the village, which was these cutout rooms. In these rooms, he found giant mummies that were up to 12 feet tall. We decided to take this case, see if we can find out first if it's real. What's going on here? Digging into these giants, we went further, right? So we also go and we identify the location where we can find them, the whole 9 yards. But as far as the giants are concerned, these are from an ancient civilization. These beings have been on Earth for a very long time. When we looked at where they originally came from, it was a seeding on one side, like humans, for instance, and then alien intervention, where they had genetically manipulated this species to be the way they are. And what happened with them was that there was a major cataclysm. This is probably around the time of the flood, so they were still around. And a major cataclysm occurred, especially up in the flooding, up in the Pacific Northwest, that wiped them out. And this cave system that these guys went to, these giants went to, was them trying to escape and get out of the way of this cataclysm. Now you had humans who survived this cataclysm.
From Brisbane to the north, Gympie Pyramid. In Africa, our friend Dr. Danny Hillman discovered pyramid in western part of the island of Java. It is known under the name Gunung Padang, the Hill of Light. Cambodia, Southeastern Asia, the Koh Ker in the northeastern part of the country, a beautiful pyramid. Australia, 2 hours drive from Brisbane to the north, Gympie Pyramid. In Africa, 155 pyramids. The island of Mauritius, 4,000 kilometers away from the African continent, in the middle of the Indian Ocean, 7 beautiful stepped pyramids. More than 300 pyramids in Peru. And then Tukume pyramids in the northern part, more than 200 of them. The biggest one, of course, Huaca del Sol, the Pyramid of the Sun, near the town of Trujillo. There are probably well over 100,000 pyramids, maybe up to 500,000. But more than 97% are still hidden in the jungles and forests.